Every morning, when the first ray of sunlight touches India, it shines the pristine Himalayan terrains of Arunachal Pradesh, waking up the nation. The easternmost state of India is truly a paradise on earth. If you must experience nature at its zenith, Arunachal is the place to be, untouched by pollution and welcomed by the smiling locals. It is a blissful destination. Arunachal Pradesh has the highest number of orchid species and has also been termed as Orchid Paradise of India because of the maximum concentration of orchid species, about 40% of the country in the state. The Orchid Research Center is located at Tippi in West Kameng district of Arunachal Pradesh, about 65 kilometers away from Tezpur, Assam. It is situated on the west bank of Kameng River, surrounded by high hills, covered with semi-evergreen tropical rainforest vegetation. Dr. H. Kamemoto of Hawaii was recommended to establish this center. Under the guidance of renowned scientist Dr. Sadanand Hegde and Dr. Abba Reddy Nageshwara Rao, the center has achieved great new heights. One of the new orchids, Sarcoglyphis arunachalensis, is found in the Tippi area itself. The foxtail orchid, the state flower of Arunachal Pradesh, is kept in the State Flower House, which is one of the 14 orchid houses of the Orchid Research Center to keep orchids safe. Both epiphytic and ground orchids rescued from different areas are under cultivation in orchid jungle as ex situ conservation. The small town of Tippi is inhabited by various indigenous tribes who live harmoniously. The Aka tribe is the largest group. There is a cultural significance of orchids among the Aka and the Monpa tribes. Dendrobium nobile, the state flower of Sikkim, locally called Chuchiri Fumazi tree, are well described in the myths of Akas and Monpas, who regard orchids as God's flowers. Tippi and its adjacent areas receive heavy rainfall. During winters, it experiences gale force winds. The air moisture content remains higher than anywhere else, making the climate ideal for orchids. Very different from the other flowering plants, it is the second largest plant group with over 28,000 species. With no separate male and female parts, every orchid produces millions of seeds. Orchids can grow on the ground, trees and rocks, or even on decaying material. But orchid seeds need nutrients from fungus to germinate, which happens rarely, making orchids rare and endangered. Paphiopedilum faireanum, one of the most threatened orchids, has been collected for decades by orchid enthusiasts, and now it is on the verge of extinction. That's why import, export and cultivation of orchids is restricted. The Paphiopedilum orchid is called as lady's slipper because one of the flower petals look like a slipper. All the species under this genus is kept in Schedule 6 of Wildlife Protection Act 1972, along with 2 species of Vanda, commonly known as blue Vanda and red Vanda. The other native orchid species are kept in species houses. Orchids are truly interesting. Oncidium orchid is known as the dancing doll orchid. Peristeria orchids are called dove orchids. Dracula orchids are monkey face orchids, and Dendrophylax and Epipogeon are called ghost orchids. A tissue culture lab has been established at the Orchid Research Center considering the conservation of orchids, where threatened and ornamental orchids are produced in large numbers. Seed culture through micropropagation technology has been adopted in laboratory. In this method, orchid seeds are cultured aseptically in sterile media under aseptic condition and kept under controlled light, temperature and humidity till the seedling attained its maximum height. Then the plantlets are subcultured on freshly prepared media, supplemented with various growth hormone for further growth and development. After its maturity, the in vitro seedlings are deflasked and washed with running tap water and planted in small community pot, then kept in a hardening chamber for acclimatization for at least 2 months and then transferred to the field. Orchids can also be multiplied through vegetative multiplication, but it is a slow process. Some orchids like Cymbidium, Dendrobium have special characteristics like bag bulk, caches, which can be separated vegetatively. Sympodial orchids like Oncidium, Cattleya can be divided according to thickness of clumps, and monopodial orchids can be divided by separating the branches if branching. The center has a sub-nursery 24 kilometers away at Sesa, adjacent to the Sesa Orchid Sanctuary. More than 200 species of subtropical orchid species are under conservation. The sanctuary is the lone orchid sanctuary in our country, spread over 100 square kilometers at 1100 meters above sea level. The sanctuary has hilly slopes, deep gorges and waterfalls housing 200 orchid species, some of which are found nowhere else in the world. The sanctuary is also an initiative by the Orchid Research Center. The Balipara-Chariduar Tawang National Highway passes through the sanctuary. Orchids that flourish in warm temperatures like Dendrobium, Cattleya, Vanda, Phalaenopsis etc. are cultivated at Tippi Orchid Center. Cold-loving orchids like Cymbidiums, one of the most beautiful and popular orchids, are cultivated at Sesa in large numbers. Its flower spikes are sold in the market as cut pieces. Along with Sesa Green Beauty, 14 more Cymbidium hybrid orchids have been developed in this center. At present, the center is dedicated towards the research, conservation and propagation of native orchid of the state. The center is home to more than 350 orchid species and many hybrid orchids, visited not only by orchid enthusiasts but also by researchers, students and more than 25,000 tourists annually from different parts of the country and abroad.